Hi there, Shavon Lindley here, CEO of Mentoring Method and creator of the Forbes interview series, Rising Leaders. I'm here today with clinical nutritionist Tara Coleman. And if you want to read the article that featuring Tara, click the link below right now so you can go to Forbes, check it out, and share it. That would be amazing. And after this interview, you will have an opportunity to interview Tara directly yourself and ask her whatever question that you want. 72 hours after this article goes live, we will be hosting a Facebook Live. So if you don't already like my Facebook page, go ahead and click like so that way you can be notified of exactly when it's going to happen. And if you have any questions that you want asked or answered by Tara, you can put it in the comments here or when we go live. To give you a little bit of background on Tara, she started her career in the pharmaceutical industry as an analytical chemist. And after receiving some alarming labs from her doctor encouraged her to take some steps back to really focus on her nutrition. She ultimately became really discouraged by the conflicting and often inaccurate nutrition information available. So she went back to school to figure it out for herself. And what she discovered became the foundation of her ultimate goal in life now, which is to empower people to eat in a way that fuels the life they want to live. And so she's ranked the #1 nutritionist in Southern California. She's been featured in Self, Cosmopolitan, Dr. Oz, the countless media outlets, and she served as the national spokesperson for Salada Green Tea for some time. So thank you, Tara, for being here with me today and talking to us a little bit about your leadership journey, because I know when I met you, I'm like, this is the most confident and educated person in the world. And so, but I bet, like all of us, there have been challenges that you've faced in your career. And how did you find your authentic voice in this very, conflicting industry about health and nutrition?
Well, I'm glad that you said the word confidence, because I think that's what, that's where my biggest journey, for lack of a better term, it came from. And so when I started out, both in the science world and then the nutrition world, I thought that nutrition was a destination. I kept striving and kept looking at these different experts and literally trying to become a carbon copy of them. I thought if I absorbed enough information, if I had enough letters after my name, if I, knew every scientific study or dietary paradigm out there, that then I would have the authority to help people, that then I would be able to. And over time, I realized that what I was seeking, with this like incessant learning and this incessant going after degrees and things like that, is I was just trying to be more confident. I was actually trying to validate a lot of what I already knew. I just didn't really have the security to communicate that with people.
And how would that impact the way that you work with your clients?
Well, I think it has a huge impact. When people come in to see me, they're typically, they're overwhelmed with information. They've tried so many different things. And honestly, a lot of them are kind of scared. And so they look to me as an authority, and they really want to believe and trust what I'm saying, but I need to be radiating the confidence in order for them to actually comply with what I'm doing. Because nothing, no matter what you do, is going to work if you aren't consistent with it. And if they don't trust in what I'm doing, if they don't trust in the way that I believe in myself, then that damages their success, which is my ultimate goal, is to have them succeed.
Do you remember when that pivot point was and when you finally felt that internal confidence and that voice that you needed?
I do actually. I think it was growing over time, but I remember, and I forget the actual year, but I actually won I entered a contest and I became the national spokesperson for Salada Green Tea. And it was this big, like the whole thing, the way it worked is you had to make a video and people voted on it. And long story short, it was extraordinarily vulnerable and scary. And my face was all over the internet and people were voting on whether or not they believed what I was saying. And it was months. Like, it was this really long thing. I was terrified. But really what was amazing is I got this amazing feedback. Winning was awesome, but during those months, people were reaching out to me and saying, Tara, what you're saying really resonates with me. Tara, I took some of the advice that you gave in that, 30-second video, and it worked. And so they were reaching out and saying that my philosophy, not the one that I copied from someone else or not something that I was regurgitating, was actually impacting them and creating change. And then actually winning was fantastic as well. And that gave me a larger platform to communicate with more people and see that it was really, really effective.
So tell me more about your philosophy. I would love to, dig into that a little bit.
Well, at its core, I do believe that there really is no one-size-fits-all solution. And sometimes I hate to say that because it can feel overwhelming, when you're just kind of lost in a sea of information and you're feeling kind of desperate. You're like, oh, please just tell me the answer. Just tell me what I should eat. Just tell me what I shouldn't eat. And so I hate to say there's no one size fits all, but the reason I say that is because, nutrition isn't a destination, or health isn't a destination that you get to where, kale is the only thing you want in the world and chocolate is awful. And you think that exercise is way more fun than, I don't know, Netflix. Health and nutrition it's a management issue. And so the core of what I believe is you really need to be proactive with your nutrition. You need to take responsibility for it because you're going to get hungry over and over again. So you need to recognize that and know how you're going to feed yourself. But you also need to be flexible because it's also a logistical issue. It's not just fuel. It's socialization. It's love. It's the way we communicate with each other. And so it's really ultimately a combination of being proactive and being very flexible. Does that make sense?
Totally. It makes me think
that was a lot. That was a lot, Tara.
It makes me really think about my relationship with food and how it's changed over time. But at every period of time, I remember feeling like I completely understood food and I could beat the system and cheat it and manipulate it to serve in whatever thing I was trying to solve at that time. And so, people I bet just come to you with already preconceived notions of what health is. And how do you handle working with all of these different viewpoints that people have, and very strong viewpoints?
Yeah, it is. It's a very emotional industry. But real quick, I want to hit on something that you said, because I think it's kind of a core of what people think, and that it's a battle. We think that it's us versus food, right? Or us versus our body. And it can feel that way. I respect that a lot. I know sometimes you can feel like food or your body is out to get you. But a lot of the diet philosophies and a lot of the things that become fads really is based on like a trickery, right? Like if I can trick my hormones, then they'll burn fat and I won't ever be hungry again and everything's going to be butterflies and rainbows. And unfortunately that doesn't work. And so forming more of a partnership, understanding that your body is actually communicating with you is really, really effective. But that was a tangent, sorry. But to answer the question that you asked, I can do that. Sorry about that.
No,
but to answer the question you asked,
I'm just like soaking it all in. It's so good.
It's nice not to feel like you're fighting with your body, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you work with clients when they have all of these different varying opinions, right? Like what's your process, when you talk to these people?
Well, I'm glad that you asked that, because when people come in, very rarely do people come in with no education. Very rarely do people come in with, a completely blank slate. Almost everyone comes in with the idea that they know what to do, they just don't know how, or they just don't do it. And they come in carrying a lot of frustration and a lot of shame because it seems like it should be so simple, and they feel like they lack the capacity to do that. And really what that typically is that they are trying someone else's solution, right? They're trying to put on, someone else's clothes, and it doesn't fit them correctly. And they're blaming themselves for being, a different size. And the way that I handle that is I start, I challenge these absolute ideas that they have, things that they take as fact. I ask why. People will come in and they'll be like, Tara, I can't stop eating carbohydrates. I think I'm addicted to them. I know you shouldn't eat or carbohydrates ever. and then ask them why. What's wrong with carbohydrates? Why shouldn't you eat them? And I really challenge them to dig down and figure out where that idea came from. And sometimes it's rooted in something that was really helpful at some point in their life. And oftentimes they have no idea. They don't know where that thought came from. It's just such a ingrained idea in our culture that they've accepted it as fact without challenging it.
And so how do you handle that? How do they respond when you hear them say that?
When I start asking them why,
Mm-hmm.
when I ask them to challenge their thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, do they finally?
They're
like, I don't know what happens.
They usually get a little annoyed at me at first. At first they have answers, at the first question usually. And it's usually something that's a little bit skewed, but it is a valid answer. The people I work with are very intelligent people. They're just like you and I, they're not gullible people by any means. So their ideas are based in fact. It's just skewed in a way that's not super helpful for them. So the more I dig down to figure out, the more I keep asking, they realize that, maybe something that they've built their entire philosophy on isn't true, and they're usually taken back a little bit. And then they're usually super excited, because remember I said when they first walk in, they have a lot of shame and they're really frustrated that they can't fit themselves into this dietary ideal. And then once they realize that the foundation of that dietary ideal is shaky at best, then they get excited about the potential that maybe there's a solution for them. Like, oh wow, if this thing that I thought was an absolute wasn't absolute, then maybe some of these other things aren't true. And maybe if I, interpreted some of this information in a different way, I would find a solution rather than just being stuck in this constant state of, cycling, on and off diets, on and off different ways of eating, things along those lines. So ultimately they're empowered by that after being annoyed.
I mean, this asking why, it is so simple, but it's really profound. I mean, not being afraid to question something that's always been done is honestly, it's a critical leadership skill that all of us really could leverage beyond nutrition.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think of things in my everyday life that I just take as fact. And maybe they were at some point, maybe it was helpful at some point, but I think in everything that we do, it's important to stop and say, wait, where did this idea come from? Wait, is this still helpful for me? Or wait, we've never revisited this. Is this something that we could maybe do different, with all the new information that we have now, or with a different support system or different life experience? And so I agree. I think that the asking why, although at first can seem frustrating and silly, especially when it's with things that we think of as kind of basic, can be an extremely powerful a paradigm shift, actually, and open up a lot of new opportunities.
Thank you for sharing all that information with me. And I know that people in Southern California come all over to meet with you, but what if there are people, other places, and they, want maybe some advice or help from you? How do people get in contact?
Well, you can go to my website, taracoleman.com. I'm also all over social media as Nutrition Tara, so wherever you do your social media-ing. And then I'm actually in development with a new online program that's going to be taking a lot of these philosophies and making them available to pretty much everyone. As much as I love sitting across from someone just like this, it's hard to impact a lot of people that way. And so we've created this new program that I've done in conjunction with a psychologist to really break through a lot of these ideas and give you some really sound nutrition advice, so you can start asking yourself, these questions and figure out your own best solution.
You've been hearing from clinical nutritionist Tara Coleman, and I'm Shavon Lindley, Forbes contributor and CEO of Mentoring Method. If you know any other rising female leader that should be featured, please follow the arrows at the top of my Facebook page so that you can apply and let me know. And also, if you have questions for Tara about her advice on her career or anything, we are going to be hosting a live Q&A where the questions are curated by you. So put your questions in the comments. Stay tuned for when that's going to go live. I'm sure this is your opportunity to ask her about her journey. She's got a lot of experience, and let me know. So thank you, Tara. I appreciate it, and we will, other than see you on the news all over the time, we will see you at the live Q&A. So thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Shavon. I had fun.